Good morning. In this presentation, we are going to learn about the chapter The Age of Guptas. Let's see the subheadings of this chapter. The background to the rise of the Gupta Empire, sources to reconstruct the age of Guptas, Chandragupta I, Samudragupta, Chandragupta Vikramaditya or Chandragupta II, Kumaragupta I, the later Gupta rulers. In the next slide, we'll see the remaining subheadings. The remaining subheadings are Decline of the Empire, Gupta Administration, Contributions to the Progress of Literature and Education, Developments in the Field of Science, Developments in the fields of religion, culture and architecture, Golden Age of Indian culture, Post-Gupta period, that is Northern India. The background to the rise of the Gupta Empire. The Satavahanas remained a prominent power in northern Deccan region for more than 3 centuries. They acted as a stabilizing factor in the Deccan. They gave political unity and economic prosperity to southern India. In the north, the Kushanas emerged as a big political power. Under Kanishka, the Kushana Empire has reached its peak. He was a great conqueror and a patron of Buddhism. The Satavahana and Kushana empires came to an end in the middle of 3rd century AD. The rise of Guptas to power was an event of great significance. The Gupta Empire once more brought unity and peace over nearly the whole of northern India. It was far less extensive than the Mauryan Empire but was more steady and more enduring. The origin of Guptas is shrouded in mystery. The founder of Gupta dynasty was Sri Gupta, who probably was only a minor chief. He was followed by his son Ghatotkacha Gupta. He was styled Maharaja. After Ghatotkacha Gupta, Chandragupta I came to the throne. Sources to reconstruct the age of the Guptas. Literary sources. Let's see the literary accounts of Fahian. Fahian visited India during the reign of Chandragupta II between 375 to 414 AD. He travelled all over India for more than 13 years. On his return to China, he wrote a book called Fawwaki, The Travels of Fahian. Let's see the main observations of the book. The city of Patliputra had 2 grand monasteries, one of the Hinayan and the other of Mahayan. He felt amazed to see the grandeur of Ashoka's palace, which still existed when Fahian visited Patliputra. The wealth and prosperity of capital city deeply impressed him. There was excellent hospital run by wealthy citizens of the town. Although the king was a devout Vaishnava, the relations between the followers of various sects, Buddhism, Jainism, Shaivism and others were cordial. People were honest and law-abiding and free from unnecessary restrictions on their movement. They could go wherever they desired. The criminal law was mild and punishment of death remained unknown. Fahian's narrative helped not only to reconstruct the history of Buddhism but also to know the social, religious and economic conditions that prevailed in the early years of 5th century AD. Wherever he went, he found the people happy. Other literary works. Kalidasa was the greatest literary genius of the Gupta period. His work Abhignana Sakuntalam, popularly known as Shakuntala, is regarded as one of the best literary productions of the world. The Smritis also give a lot of information in respect of the Gupta society. Vishakadatta's Devi Chandraguptam, a Sanskrit drama, relates the early life of Chandragupta II. Archaeological sources. Allahabad Pillar Inscription. The Allahabad Pillar inscription is in Sanskrit. It was composed by the court poet Harisena. It gives a detailed account of the conquests and personality of the king Samudragupta. The inscription shows that Samudragupta's conquests can be divided into several groups. He first defeated the rulers of Aryavarta, that is northern India, whose dominions were annexed by the Gupta ruler. The king then marched against the southern rulers. He defeated them but did not annex their kingdoms, and many other forest tribes and rulers of frontier and eastern regions submitted to the emperor and agreed to pay tributes to the Gupta empire. From the inscriptions, it would appear that Samudragupta never knew any defeat. After this conquest, Samudragupta performed Ashwamedha Yagna. On this occasion, he issued gold coins depicting the sacrificial horses. The Allahabad Pillar inscription calls Samudragupta a great musician. This is also confirmed by some of the coins which show him playing the veena, lute. The Vishnu Temple and the Gupta sculptures. The Vishnu Temple at Deoghar near Jhansi marked a change from early flat-roof temples to the latest style with high shikaras, that is towers. The Gupta sculptures discarded foreign influence and adopted a style which was totally Indian in character. The Gupta artists made beautiful statues of Buddha, Bodhisattvas, Vishnu and other Brahminical gods. The image of seated Buddha at Sarnath and standing Buddha discovered at Mathura are the most outstanding specimens of the Gupta sculpture. Chandragupta I, who ruled from 320 to 335 AD. Chandragupta I assumed the title of Maharajadhiraj. He was the first ruler to raise the power and prestige of the Gupta dynasty. He married the Likkavi princess Kumaradevi. His accession is said to have taken place in 320 AD and he ruled up to 335 AD. Chandragupta's authority extended over Magadha, that is South Bihar, Prayag, Allahabad, Saketa, Ayodhya and the neighboring areas. Samudragupta, who ruled from 335 to 375 AD. Chandragupta I was followed by his son Samudragupta. He turned out to be one of the ablest of the Gupta rulers. We have already referred to the Allahabad pillar inscriptions in which the poet narrated the skill Samudragupta displayed in many battles which left scars all over his body. His conquests. Samudragupta first defeated the rulers of northern India and annexed their dominions. They included the Nagas of Mathura, Padmavati near Gwalior, and Achitra, the region or neighborhood of Bareilly, and the ruling chiefs of western Uttar Pradesh and eastern India. The king's next important campaign was against the southern rulers. He won victories over 12 rulers, including those of Odisha, Andhra, and Tamil Nadu. He defeated these rulers but did not annex their kingdoms. He allowed them to rule as tributaries of Gupta Empire. And lastly, the frontier monarchs, rulers of forest tribes, and a few other kings, being impressed by his victories, submitted of their own free will and agreed to pay tributes to the emperor. They include the rulers of Bengal, Assam, Nepal, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Samudragupta issued gold coins to celebrate his conquest and also performed Ashwamedha Yagna, horse sacrifice. His personal attainments. Samudragupta was not only a great conqueror, he was also a scholar, a poet, and a lover of music. He was called Kaviraja, that is the king of poets. His coins show him playing the lute, that is veena. He worshipped Lord Vishnu, but he showed respect for all religious faiths. He was also a patron of learning. Chandragupta Vikramaditya or Chandragupta II. In the words of B.G. Gokhale, the reign of Chandragupta II marks the zenith of Gupta glory. Chandragupta II, also known as Chandragupta Vikramaditya, had not to build an empire for himself. This task had already been accomplished by his father. His conquests. His main achievements was to overthrow the Saka power in Gujarat and Kathiawar Peninsula. With a view to pursuing his plan against the Sakas, Chandragupta married Kubera Naga, a Naga princess. He gave the hand of his daughter to Rudrasena II, the Vakataka prince. Through these matrimonial alliances, Chandragupta secured the friendship of those rulers who could be of much service to him in his campaign against the Saka satraps. Having thus strengthened his position, he attacked the Saka satraps. The end of Saka rule came about sometime between 395 and 400 AD. By this brilliant conquest, Chandragupta obtained the title of Sakari. An inscription on iron pillar near Qutub Minar in Delhi records the conquest of king named Chandra. If he is identical with Chandragupta II, we can say that with near certainty that he defeated a united front of his enemies in Vanga, which is Bengal, and his victorious arms reached the northern Afghanistan, Valikas. His place in history. Chandragupta Vikramaditya is the best known for his human administration, his personal wisdom, and his patronage of arts and literature. Fahian, who visited India during the reign of Chandragupta II, saw almost all parts of India and has left exact details about the places he saw and life of the people as a whole. Fahian's account of India. We've already narrated that Fahian, the Chinese pilgrim, visited many parts of India. These included Mathura, Kannauj, Kaushambi, Kashi, Kapilavastu, Pataliputra, Nalanda, and others. He recorded in his diary everything that he had seen. His narration of localities, people, and their life was of great service to historians. Wherever he went, he found the people happy. They had all they needed and were kind to each other. There were hospitals for animals too, he recorded. Kumaragupta I, 414 to 455 AD. Chandragupta was succeeded by Kumaragupta I, who enjoyed a long reign of some 40 years. He maintained the integrity of the empire. The material evidence suggests that it was a period of peace and plenty during which art, music, literature, and foreign trade flourished all over the kingdom. Towards the end of his reign, the Huns invaded the northwest frontier of the empire. Kumaragupta's son Skandagupta defeated the enemy after a fierce struggle. The later Gupta rulers. Kumaragupta had died before his son Skandagupta could return from the battlefield. Hunas, a tribe of nomads from Central Asia, invaded the territories on the northwest again. This invasion took place in 458 AD. Skandagupta was a heroic figure who defeated the Hunas again. But the victory was not easy. The history of ensuing period is hazy and vague. The process of breakup of mighty empire had now set in. The last known king of imperial Gupta line, Vishnugupta, probably died in 550 AD. Decline of the empire. Thus came to an end a mighty empire. The causes of its decline and fall were many. An important reason seems to be the repeated invasions of Hunas, who had occupied a vast Punjab and some parts of central India. But the most important reason was that after Skandagupta, Most of the Gupta kings were engaged in disputes of succession. Various parts of the empire had come under the sway of different branches of the Gupta family. Gupta administration. The Gupta dynasty produced a number of able rulers who established an efficient system of administration. The king and his ministers. The king. The Guptas discarded the modest title of Rajan and assumed titles like Maharajadiraja, Parambhattaraka, and Paramdaivata. This indicates the enhanced power and position of the rulers. Titles such as Paramdaivata raised rulers to the level of gods. In one of the Allahabad pillar inscriptions, Samudragupta is referred to as God dwelling on earth. The rulers were referred to those possessing the power of Lord Vishnu, the protector and preserver of the universe. The goddess Lakshmi was represented on the Gupta coins as a consort of Vishnu. The king appointed all the governors, ministers, and high imperial officers. Usually, he personally led his army on the battlefield. Some ministers accompanied the king to the battlefield. Veerasena, the minister for peace and war, accompanied Chandragupta too in a war against the Sakas. The ministers and other imperial officers. Several ministers assisted the king in the task of administration. Mantri stood at the head of civil administration, while important officials including the Senapati, who is general of the army, and the chief of palace guards, and Sandhi Vigrahika, that is minister for foreign affairs. In addition to ministers, the king was assisted by many other officials including the chief censor, who examined reports that were regarded as secret. Provincial administration and the district and municipal administration. Provincial administration. The empire was divided into several provinces called bhuktis or desas. The provincial governors were usually the prince of royal blood. As governors, they were called Uparika Maharaja or Pradikshikas. District administration. A bhukti was divided into districts called Vishyas, which were ruled by Vishyapatis or Ayuktas. They were usually appointed by the provincial governor. Many other persons had position of authority in the district administration. They were Pradhamakayastha, who wrote letters and documents, Pushtapal, the keeper of records, and Nagarasreshti, that is the chief banker. Municipal administration. From a few inscriptions, we learn about the town administration also. Some towns were administered by a municipal board which consisted of 4 members. They were called the Nagarasreshti, the guild president, Sartavaha, the chief merchant, Pradhamukulika, the chief artisan, Pradhamakayastha, the chief scribe. A few seals recovered from ancient Vaishali in North Bihar indicate that the municipal board was functioning there with the help of representatives of the guilds, of merchants, artisans, and others. These guilds looked after the affairs of the members as well as the welfare of the towns. Local or village administration. Each village was under a village headman known as Gramika. His duty was to enforce the law and to keep the peace. He was assisted by a village council comprising the leading local elements. No land transaction could be effected without their consent, and this may have been true of other important affairs as well. Administration of law and justice. The Gupta period produced vast legal literature. The lawgivers made a clear distinction between civil and criminal matters. Theft and assault on a person came under criminal law. Disputes regarding property came under civil law. On account of growth in the private property, we find detailed laws regarding partition, sale, and mortgage of land and other properties. The law codes provided a hierarchy of courts at 3 levels: local and village level, district level, and provincial level. The final appeal lay to the king. Since the guilds looked after the affairs of their members, the state was relieved of the burden of administering justice to a great extent. Feudal developments in the Gupta age. By feudal developments, we mean freedom from the interference of central government and devolution authority, that is, transfer of power by central government to local bodies, guilds, and professional bodies. Even the temple priests had powers to punish such persons as had violated customs and rules of religious bodies. The professional guilds managed the affairs of their respective organizations. They also maintained and administered justice and made sure that their customs and rules were put into practice properly. Contributions to the progress of literature and education. The Gupta age has been called the golden age of Sanskrit literature because of the outstanding quality of its classical literary works like epics, drama, lyrics, and prose, besides works on philosophy and various sciences. Let's see the literary works. Works of Kalidasa. We have already referred to the literary talent and genius of Kalidasa. Abhignana Shakuntalam, popularly known as Shakuntala, is regarded as one of the best literary productions of the world. Malavikagnimitra and Vikramovarsya are the two excellent dramas written by him. His literary skill was also displayed in the two epics Raghuvamsha and Kumara Sambhava, and in the lyric poetry of Ritu Samhara and Meghaduta. Vivid portrayal of characters, refined language, and appreciation of beauty of nature made his literary works valuable gems of Sanskrit literature. Other literary texts. Vishakadatta wrote the well-known political drama Mudra Rakshasa, in which he described the political revolution that led to the fall of Nanda dynasty and the establishment of Mauryan Empire. Harisena was the author of the famous poem Prashasti, eulogy inscribed on Allahabad pillar. It gives a detailed account of the career and personality of Samudragupta. Famous universities. There were a number of famous universities which became centers of advanced learning. Let's learn about Nalanda University. It was the most famous of the educational institutions of ancient India. Situated near Rajagriha in Bihar, it was founded during the reign of Kumaragupta in middle of the 5th century AD. It developed into famous center of learning under the patronage of Gupta rulers and of Harshavardhana. Its important features. Admission to this university was restricted by a difficult entrance examination, and only 2 or 3 out of 10 succeeded in getting admission. The students were provided with free boarding and lodging. Sanskrit was used as a medium of instruction. Buddhist and Brahminical literature, logic, grammar, medicine, astronomy, philosophy, tantra, and art were important subjects included in the curriculum. The university became so famous that it attracted students from all over India and from neighboring countries as well. Huansang, the Chinese pilgrim, studied here for about 5 years. This great center of learning flourished till the end of 12th century AD, when it was destroyed by Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khilji, one of the generals of Muhammad Ghori. The ruins of the Nalanda University testify to its grandeur as recorded by Huansang. Taxila University. It was situated near Rawalpindi, now in Pakistan. From reference to it, in the Jataka stories, we learn that it was earliest universities of ancient India. It specialized in the teaching of medicine, surgery, astronomy, astrology, military arts, law, etc. Developments in the field of science. During the Gupta period, great progress was made in the field of scientific studies such as astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. Aryabhatta. He was a great astronomer and mathematician. He wrote two famous works, the Aryabhatiya and Surya Siddhanta. Aryabhatiya deals with arithmetic, geometry, algebra, and trigonometry. The Aryabhatta worked out the exact value of pi and discovered a formula to find the area of triangle. In his famous work Surya Siddhanta, he explained scientifically the causes of solar and lunar eclipses. He was the first Indian astronomer to declare that Earth is spherical in shape, and he proved that Earth revolves around the Sun and rotates on its own axis. India's first satellite sent into space was named Aryabhatta after this great astronomer. Varahamihira, he was another great scientist of Gupta age, who flourished in the court of Chandragupta II. He wrote Brihad Samhita, which deals with astronomy, mathematics, botany, and physical geography. He also wrote a famous book on different branches of Jyotisha Shastra. Developments in the fields of religion, culture, and architecture. Gupta period is regarded as an era of Brahmanical revival. The rulers did much for the enhancement of their religion and culture. The Brahmanical religion. Sanskrit, the sacred language of Hindus, was revived. Temples were dedicated to various Hindu deities such as Vishnu and Shiva. Lakshmi was worshipped as a consort of Vishnu and Parvati as a consort of Shiva. Emergence of Bhakti cult, intense devotion to God became unifying factor between Vaishnavism and Shaivism. Fahian, the Chinese pilgrim, made a mention of religious toleration of the Gupta rulers. Architecture of the temples. The Gupta period witnessed the beginning of a new style of temple architecture. With the revival of Hinduism, worship of images became an important feature of Hindu ritual. So a large number of temples were built of brick, stone, and mortar. The Dashavatara temple, also known as Vishnu temple at Deoghar near Jhansi and Bittergaon temple near Kanpur, are fine examples of the excellence of Gupta architecture. Vishnu temple at Deoghar. The Vishnu temple at Deoghar, Uttar Pradesh, was constructed in the 6th century. The temple marked a transition from early flat-roofed temples to the latest style with shikaras or towers. It stands on a wide platform approached by a flight of steps on the 4 sides. The platform is decorated with sculptures showing scenes from life and actions of Lord Rama and Lord Krishna, which inspired Indian artists in all ages. An important sculpture shows Hanuman bringing the whole hill containing the herbs that cured Lakshmana of the mortal wound caused by Meghananda, the son of Ravana. The inner chamber of Garbhagriha was surrounded by 4 porticos dedicated to Lord Vishnu. The deity is depicted as Sheshasai sleeping on the coil of serpent called Sheshanag. The shikara of temple is only partly preserved. It was probably pyramidal in elevation. The Gupta sculptures. The Greek influence on Indian art had completely disappeared during Gupta period. The sculptors adopted style that was totally Indian in character. A very large number of images of Buddha, Bodhisattvas, Vishnu, Shiva, and other Brahmanical goddesses made of stone and bronze have been discovered at Sarnath and Mathura. Among the images of Buddha discovered at Sarnath near Varanasi, the most outstanding is the image of seated Buddha. It is popularly known as Preaching Buddha, who is delivering his first sermon and his disciples are listening to him with folded hands. Buddha is seated in yogic meditation. The image looks serene, showing a young face with half-closed eyes and a calm smile. The statue was made of sandstone. Golden age of the Indian culture. Suffice to say that during the Gupta era, India reached a high level of civilization and culture. The mighty Gupta rulers Samudragupta and Chandragupta II, popularly known as Vikramaditya, established political unity, and brought economic prosperity to the nation. The peace that prevailed in the country and the vast resources available under the Guptas led to unprecedented growth and progress in the fields of literature, arts, and sciences. The Brahmanical religion and culture had reached the zenith of its glory. The Gupta era came to be known as the Golden Age of Indian culture. Post-Gupta period, Northern India. After the decline and fall of the Guptas, the imperial tradition was under an eclipse for half a century or so. In the second half of the 6th century, Kannauj had risen to prominence under Maukari kings. Tanesar near Kurukshetra in Haryana was at that time ruled by Prabhakar Vardhana. He died in 605 AD and was succeeded by his elder son Rajavardhana. After Rajavardhana, his younger brother Harshavardhana, who ruled from 606 to 648 AD, became the ruler of Tanesar. He was a great conqueror. After consolidating his authority in the north, Harsha attempted to extend his dominions beyond the river Narmada. However, he suffered a defeat at the hands of Pulakesin II, the Chalukya king. Harsha died in 648 AD. He had no heir. North India was thrown into dreadful disorder again. Many independent kingdoms sprang up in northern India. Harsha was a brave military leader and a capable administrator. Besides, he was a great patron of learning. Nalanda University, which was founded during the reign of Kumaragupta I, was patronized by Harshavardhana.